Welcome to the program today. Mondo Gonzales here in studio with our good friend JB Hixson, and we are going to be talking about the Luciferian conspiracy. Stick around. Welcome back again. We are here with our good friend JB Hixson, and before we go to JB, I just want to remind you about a couple things that are happening on our schedule. And we just got done not too long ago with our Orlando conference, and we are already gearing up for our conference in Norman, Oklahoma, which is going to be October 9th through 12th. And so consider joining us in Oklahoma. It's a great time to be here in the fall. But if you can't, you can go to prophecywatchers.com and just scroll down and check out our live stream. We're going to have over 20 speakers that are going to be there. It's going to be an awesome time, as it always is. 1,000 people showing up, hanging out, again, looking at each other in the eyeballs, realizing that we all are waiting for the coming of the Lord Jesus, and we're not crazy. It's a good thing to fellowship with others. The other thing that's happening this fall, if you have ever been interested in, is I'm going to be joining Billy Crone and others on a trip to the 7 churches of Revelation. We're going to be going to Athens as well. We're going to be seeing basically a missionary journey trip of where Paul went, seeing the actual spots where Paul was coming in on a ship. It's kind of fun when you go and see these things. We're also going to be going to a site in eastern Turkey, which is considered a candidate for Noah's Ark. There's been a lot of recent research being done there, and so, as well as the pyramids. It's kind of a full trip. So you can go to prophecywatchers.com and click on the events tab, scroll down and check it out. It's going to be in late October. You can get all the information there. Well, here we are, JB. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mondo. Always great to be with you.
And you know, one of the things that I think is fascinating, just again, about all the work that you've been doing is, and us having the opportunity to go around and to speak with people is, I always make this connection, is that we are not going to go from, the Andy Griffith Show, 1950s Mayberry, and it's going to be that way, and then all of a sudden the rapture happens, and the next day it's
chaos.
Yeah. That's not going to be the way it is. And God gives us the opportunity by sharing in His Word that we get the opportunity, I would say, to see all the system, the foundation, the structure of the Antichrist beast system, which he's going to rule, but we now get to see it being put in place. So kind of jump in a little bit with us, because you've written these volumes and you've pretty much documented that what you've been seeing, not just, and maybe share how you've documented this. I can go all day long, but kind of give us the rundown here.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Mondo. 2 Timothy 3:13 says evil men and impostors will get worse and worse. So it is getting worse and worse. The foundation is being laid for the coming beast system. And the genesis of the books, I started thinking about the beast system, the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the Bible has a lot to say about the Antichrist. We, Old and New Testament alike, we can build quite a resume for his characteristics, his behaviors, his actions in the coming beast system. And then knowing that in fact things are getting worse and worse, and as you said, this is a gradual setting of the stage for the beast system, it occurred to me, well, we should probably start seeing some of those characteristics of the Antichrist emerge in the lead up to the rapture. And so the key verse for the whole book series is 1 John chapter 4, verse 3, that says, "Every spirit that does not confess Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world." And so the spirit of the Antichrist, I started thinking about that. And essentially, as John previously said in chapter 2, verse 18, many antichrists, little a, have come in the lead up to one future Antichrist, capital A. And so I just thought, well, let's kind of summarize his actions and his behaviors. And then I categorized those into 7 spirits that became the 2-volume book. One of the things that I've noticed, and you probably have too, is that a lot of people understand something is amiss. They understand that on many levels we're not being told the whole story. But what I've tried to do in these books is look through a biblical lens and connect the dots all the way to the top to this ultimate cosmic battle between God and Satan.
You know, when you look at in the book of Revelation is really probably the best example. When you look at the dragon and the way that he appears, there's a word that I see that comes over and over, and it has to do that the dragon, one of his probably best characteristics is deception.
Yes.
And the one who deceives the whole world, and you see this, of course, in Genesis 3, right? He deceives, and Eve was deceived. And so when we see that, I would imagine then that one of the greatest markers is the deception. And let's define deception first, because most people think, well, really? No, let's define deception.
Yeah, well, Jesus tells us plainly in John 8:44 that Satan is a liar. That's the only language he speaks. If his lips are moving, lies are coming out of his mouth. I mean, that's the way he works. That's his native tongue, right? So deception is intentionally telling someone something that's not true for personal gain, for nefarious motives. And, we could get into the technical definition of a lie. Is it a lie if you try to fake the defense out with, a hard count? Is it a lie if you throw a surprise party for someone? We could get into sort of the moral ethics of deception, but clearly what Satan's trying to do is deceive people into thinking that he's God, he runs the universe, he's the one in charge, and he wants this created universe for himself.
Yeah, and the other thing that strikes me, which we all should think about it, is that deception by its very nature is, oh, I didn't know that. And so it's underhanded, it's secret, and this is where, as you see, that there's a world here that's observable, and then there's the deception world that's happening behind the scenes, which again, is the very nature of it. And this is what I think is so awesome about what you've done here is, you talk about the Antichrist, and again, but you introduce this phrase, and I think we've come to a place where some people are scared of it, some people. Now, certainly that can't be the case. I would know if that was the case, right? That's always. But the very nature of deception is that we don't know, and so you bring up right there in the beginning of your work, the Luciferian conspiracy. Help us understand what that means.
Yeah. So Lucifer, of course, is from Isaiah 14. It's a name for Satan. You could debate exegetically there, but it's become that, right?
Yes, yeah.
Those who worship Satan call themselves Luciferians. They dedicate their books to him. They embrace it. That's their term for themselves. That's what they call themselves. So the conspiracy aspect is the fact that they are working together with each other, with the unseen celestial realm, demons and the like, and with Satan himself at the tip of the spear, to try to accomplish Satan's agenda. So it's the Luciferian conspiracy. David talks about it in Psalm 2, how the kings and rulers of the earth are conspiring together to break off God's control so that they have control and he doesn't. So it's very well documented in Scripture. But you're right, it's a term that, in fact, I spoke at one of the Prophecy Watchers conferences a couple of years ago on the conspiracy theory conspiracy, where I went back and found the genesis of the term. It's from a CIA document. They created the term conspiracy theory as a pejorative, weaponized term to undermine those who were questioning the Warren Commission report on the JFK assassination. So people hear conspiracy theory, they automatically have a negative connotation. Yeah. But a conspiracy theory is just speculation that two or more people might have been working together to do something bad in secret. So that's the greatest conspiracy of all, is Satan, fallen angels, and earthly co-conspirators working together to take over this world.
Yeah, I think as we look out in the culture, here in the past few years, you've made some jokes about it that, something about conspiracy, just give me a few weeks or something, however the phrase is.
Exactly, yeah. Conspiracy theories are everywhere, and one of the underlying premises of this whole work is the deeper I went into it, the more lies I found. And it was really, I was motivated out of anger because I discovered I had been lied to about some pretty major historical events, that I had bought into this narrative that was completely false. And so I just started asking, what else have I been lied to about? And it's really not much of an exaggeration to say if your knee-jerk reaction is that can't be true, you're probably going to be right more often than not, because almost nothing is as it appears. It's seldom about what it's about. There's always an agenda behind it. As I document in the Spirit of the Antichrist books, you've got, they control the media, they control the educational institutions, they control the governments, they control the Hollywood, they control so many aspects of culture that it's quite easy for them to manipulate the masses into believing a lie.
Yeah. I want to talk more about who the they are in a moment. We're going to take a little break where you can see how to get our magazine, again, which helps to document exactly what we're discussing today each and every month. Take a listen.
10 years ago, we began an exciting journey, a mission dedicated to spreading the good news of the soon return of Jesus. Our passion for teaching Bible prophecy is what drives us to warn the world of events that are soon to come. In the last 2 years, tens of thousands of prophecy watchers from all over the world have subscribed to our monthly magazine, The Prophecy Watcher. 12 DVDs on Bible prophecy can be yours when you subscribe to our 48-page full-color magazine for just 1 year, print or digital format, all for a gift of $50, with shipping included in the USA. Recent events have turned the world upside down. The COVID-19 pandemic was followed by Russia's war in Ukraine, all overshadowed by the horrific October 7th tragedy in Israel. The prophets of the Bible predicted a series of end-time wars, and we're seeing the final pieces of the puzzle fall into place. Russia, China, Iran, Syria, Turkey. The enemies of Israel are on the doorstep, just as the Bible predicted some 2,500 years ago. The Prophecy Watcher magazine includes the writings of dozens of prophecy experts like Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzales, L.A. Marzulli, Bill Salus, Josh Peck, and many others, writing on fascinating subjects like the Rapture, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Red Heifer, the World Economic Forum, the Global Reset, digital currency, the Mark of the Beast, the Nephilim, and the Antichrist's beast system of global control, things you will likely never hear about in church. 12 bonus DVDs will introduce you to Ezekiel's Gog and Magog war and the road to Armageddon. We'll examine the supernatural side of the Bible as we investigate controversial issues like the Nephilim, government UFO cover-ups, and the Shroud of Turin. We'll address the Luciferian Rebellion, a mutiny that changed heaven and earth forever. Speaking of heaven, you'll enjoy Mondo's glimpse into God's creation as he explores the stunning beauty of the stars and galaxies, seen through the lens of our Psalm 19 observatory cameras. 12 issues of the magazine, plus 12 bonus DVDs, a $180 value, now available for your gift of $50 to support our worldwide television outreach. Care to become a fellow Prophecy Watcher? Just visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv. Partner with us today and help us take the message of the soon return of Jesus to the whole world.
Have you heard the news? The Prophecy Watchers team and 23 Bible prophecy experts are coming to the beautiful Embassy Suites in Norman, Oklahoma for the Victory in Jesus Prophecy Conference. Join 1,000 other excited prophecy watchers on October 9th through the 12th of this year and say hello to all your favorite prophecy speakers. Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzales, Billy Crone, Tom Hughes, Bill Koenig, L.A. Marzulli, Steve Quayle, J.B. Hixson, Larry Ollison, Lee Brainerd, and many more. Plus a special concert by our Southern Gospel musical guest, Master's Voice. 4 days of blessing, encouragement, fellowship, and great prophetic teaching await. 23 speakers, 44 messages. It's America's largest prophecy conference. Visit our website at victoryinjesusprophecyconference.com for all the exciting details.
Well, welcome back. We are talking to J.B. Hixson about his 2-volume set, The Spirit of the Antichrist. And J.B., we hear this all the time. I use the term, we all use the term, they. So exactly who is they?
Yeah, they are the Luciferians. The Luciferians are those, and I diagram this out in the book. At the top level, you've probably got 6 or 8 families, go way back in their bloodlines, that worship Satan. They think that he's God. They think he's the hero in the Genesis account and that God himself.
So they themselves are deceived, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, they are, of course, they're deceived.
So it's not like they know this is the dragon and he's out to enslave the world.
No, they think he's the hero.
They think he's the hero.
He's the hero. God is the antagonist. God was lying to Adam and Eve. Satan came in and rescued them from the tyranny of Almighty God. And so, yeah, he's the good guy in their mind. And so they worship him. They sacrifice children to him. They drink blood. They're praying to him like you and I pray to Almighty God. But those are not household names. Those are not people that you would necessarily recognize. They're in the kind of the background. They're in those dark, smoke-filled rooms. At the second level, that's when you get into the usual suspects, those who most of whom know that they're part of a broader Luciferian conspiracy. Some of them don't. They just are in it for their own power, sex, money, whatever it might be, bad motives, nefarious motives, but they don't recognize that the dots lead all the way up to some ultimate evil celestial being. So the second tier is a lot of the people that we would think of. In America, what complicates people's awakening to the Luciferian conspiracy is the grip that the left-right paradigm has on so many people. And it's so hard to keep people from trying to overlay the left-right Democrat-Republican paradigm over this conspiracy, because it transcends that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are elements of it on all sides of the conservative
Satan doesn't care
paradigm.
what your title is. He's going to use you if you allow him, even unknowingly. I mean, that's the nature of deception, is to be unknowingly used, right? But
yeah. I mean, people are really good at recognizing explicit evil. You know, you can see the pitchfork and the horns and the tail, but by its nature, as you've said a couple of times, deception, you don't see it. It looks like an angel of light. And so until you take the time to look into it and really look at the facts, which is not hard to do today. I mean, with the information age, you've got plenty of data. Now, there's plenty of misinformation. You have to learn to sift through it all. But for those who take the time to look, you'll find out pretty quickly that we've been deceived about a lot of things.
Yeah. You know, let me encourage you too, you know, as you watch this, because what we see in the culture, we see it in the media, is we see this right now in Congress, we see it everywhere else, that the media loves to throw out conspiracy theory. Oh, well, you know, if you start talking about, let's say, fluoride or something, you're like, oh, you know, they're giving into conspiracy theories. But yet, this is their way to neutralize facts and truth. It's absolutely fascinating. Well, I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to have that pejorative word.
Yeah.
I don't want to be considered a crackpot. But in reality, what do we know? I mean, we saw it really in the last 5 years, 2020 on, that so many of the conspiracy theories are absolute fact.
Yep. Yeah, I don't believe in conspiracy theories except the ones that are true.
Exactly.
Which turns out is most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about fluoride, by the way, in the book. And when you go back and look at the documented facts, the patents, the white papers, the secretly released whistleblower information, things like that, it's pretty easy to connect the dots. So we get into a lot of, there's something in there for everybody.
You know, and let's step back for a moment, because I see this often, that, again, these pejorative words. And if you're a Christian, I mean, maybe you're watching this and you're not a Christian. Well, okay, that's a different story. But if you are a Christian who believes the Bible, then you absolutely must believe in conspiracy, because Satan is the master conspirator. He's working behind the scenes, again, as you said, to lie, to deceive, and to murder. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? Jesus said that in John 10. And so you look at this and you go, I remember I wasn't raised a Christian. And so coming to salvation at 18 years old, and I remember starting to see things, and I actually was mad, because I was mad and shocked. I wasn't mad at God. I was mad like, all this was going on and I didn't know it?
Yeah.
And I felt like you. I felt like I was deceived. I was living into the world of deception. And I'll just say this too, that when you look over the past few years, or any times the world or the media, this is like a basic test. If the media is all pointing in this direction, then automatically my gut is, I'm going that way.
Yep.
Because the media is controlled by the world. You know, Jesus said, you know, in John 14, 16, you know, in 12, 14, 16, Satan is the ruler of this world, and he's being cast out. But yet, the whole world lies under the power of the wicked one. So the world itself, we saw this in the last few years, and we've seen it. When the world is saying this, and as I think about as well, that, I don't know if you talk about the vaccines, you probably do.
Oh yeah, chapter 9 in volume 1 is the biggest chapter in the book.
And so here you have an example. We've seen this. We've seen the murderous spree. And yet, we can't even talk about it, because we're like, oh, conspiracy, you know, they're safe and effective. Not that it's all about that, but you go, when the world is saying this, in unison, wake up.
No question, yeah. It's, you know, we talk about, you mentioned conspiracy in the Bible, in the opening chapters of volume 1, I go through the Old and New Testament and talk about how the term conspiracy even appears in both. And then there's synonyms, plot, you know, planning, that kind of thing. Conspiracies are all over the place. So conspiracy is just two or more people working together to do something bad. usually in secret. But these days, sometimes they just brag about it because they've deceived us into thinking it's for our own good. But so then that's a conspiracy. A theory is just speculation that a conspiracy might be at play. Could be wrong. I mean, not all conspiracies are accurate.
Not every,
but certainly investigating a theory about a conspiracy is not wrong at all. We're supposed to search for the truth and try to find out what's real and what's not.
Now, you've had the opportunity to go and certainly speak at our conference about, again, all that you've worked on and written here. What has been, have you had some, maybe give some feedback? Have people been shocked? Kind of talk about what you've introduced here and what you've exposed, because I imagine it's hard for some people.
It is, yeah, and we've been doing it long enough now that we've kind of seen a change in the reaction. So my first book, trying to get some of this information that I was uncovering out, was back in 2012. It was called The Great Last Days Deception, Satan's One New World Order Agenda, something like that. Back then, when I would mention things like geoengineering, or sometimes people call it chemtrailing.
Chemtrails, yeah.
But it's actually solar radiation management, chemical ice nucleation, stratospheric aerosol injection. There's all kinds of scientific terms for it that they use. Man, that was a big one. That was a big hurdle. People didn't like that, and they couldn't.
They resisted.
Oh yeah, they resisted it. That was too crazy. That was, you've left the cuckoo farm now, kind of a thing. But nowadays, it's nobody denies it. It's
ubiquitous. It's everywhere. You go out.
Everywhere.
I mean, you just go out and you see it, and you take pictures, because we know there's. I mean, what a chemtrail versus a contrail, right? There's a big difference. Yeah. Totally different.
And they've come out and admitted it. There's government contracts. There's government groups that work for the government to do it. We've seen the nozzles. We've had eyewitness accounts. We know what they're spraying.
In many states, I think Tennessee might have been the first state that banned any geoengineering in their skies above. Is this a federal thing? Is it a global thing? Because it's really hard. How would you prevent it? I mean, people are flying around. How do you prevent it?
It's a global. That's directly tied back to the Luciferians, the top tier, the ones that are trying to destroy this world. Now, they have a lot of accomplices along the way, and the whole geoengineering thing is couched in terms of climate change. They're thinking they're doing this to save the world. They're spraying aluminum, strontium, barium, nanoparticles of metal in the sky to block the sun's rays to cool the planet. That's the official narrative. And so there are a lot of people in various jurisdictions worldwide who actually mean well. They think, they've bought the lie about climate change, and they think we got to save the planet. So they're not trying to depopulate the earth. They're trying to save the earth in their mind.
In their minds, yeah.
But ultimately, and you see it all over. It's not just a uniquely American thing. And so you mentioned how some states have started to ban this, just like with fluoride as well. The thing to remember about the Luciferian conspiracy is it is by no means monolithic. It's not absolute. Satan is not omniscient or omnipresent or omnipotent, so he can't just snap his fingers and make it happen. And there are often examples of resistance from people who recognize, even though they may not be believers, they may not understand the spiritual implications of this grand conspiracy, but they look at the facts and they go, this is dangerous, we're going to stop it. And so that's a setback to the bad guys, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're losing the big war.
No, they just pivot.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take a little break here where you can see how to get JB's work. It's pretty phenomenal, so take a listen.
Our world seems to be increasingly controlled by a small group of elites who make the rules, most of the time against the will of the people. The internet, satellites, artificial intelligence, and systems of control have created a surveillance society where our every move is being tracked and analyzed. Our own country is $36 trillion in debt, while rampant crime, homelessness, civil unrest, media corruption, wars, and rumor of wars are a fact of life. How long can it be before we see disastrous changes that will affect everyone on planet Earth? After all, that is what the Bible predicts. Prophecy Watchers exist to warn people of these perilous times to come and to help people understand that the things happening today were spoken of by Jesus and the prophets some 2,000 years ago. So don't be discouraged. God has made a way for us to escape this impending disaster. JB's 2 books, The Spirit of the Antichrist Volumes 1 and 2, may be the most explosive books we've ever offered. Each book offers a tremendous amount of material you will never hear about in church. From conspiracy theories that are no longer conspiracy theories to prophetic fulfillments, Hixson has produced 2 one-of-a-kind books. Each volume is available for your gift of $30 or more, with shipping included anywhere in the USA. When you purchase both volumes in the Spirit of the Antichrist bonus package for $60 or more, we'll send you 3 bonus DVDs from the Prophecy Watchers Prophetic Library Collection. They include The Stones Cry Out, Excavating the Evidence for Jesus, Holy Fire in Jerusalem, New shocking information on the image of the Shroud of Turin, and The Mystery of the Rapture, Like a Thief in the Night by Mondo Gonzales, a $45 bonus value. If you prefer DVDs to books, JB has produced his Spirit of the Antichrist studies on 18 DVDs. These 2 DVD sets contain 27 studies and will also include all 3 bonus DVDs, all available for your gift of $100 or more, with shipping included anywhere in the USA. Simply call the number you see on the screen 24/7 or visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv. For our international friends, please note that additional shipping fees do apply and all prices listed are in US dollars. People have questions about the future, and JB has the answers we're looking for. He warns us of things to come and shows us how we can escape. Call that number on your screen today and support the important work here.
Well, welcome back, and JB, here we are, and with our last few minutes, before the break, we were talking about, again, geoengineering and chemtrails and stuff, and so, maybe in our last minute here, JB, talk about, is your goal to scare people?
Oh, absolutely not.
Talk about what the end goal is here.
We have 2 goals in this series of books. One is to awaken believers, 1 Thessalonians 5:6, and then to share the gospel. The gospel, is pervasive throughout the books. I have a dedicated epilogue at the end of each book, because the subject matter is such that a lot of people who don't know the Lord are interested in these lies and these conspiracies, and there's something in there for everybody. They'll go, I've never heard of that, but boy, I'd like to read more about that. And so if they'll be drawn into it, they'll hear the big picture of God's redemptive plan, that this is all working out ultimately toward Christ coming back to make all things new. And those who don't know the Lord, who've never placed their faith in Jesus Christ and Him alone for salvation, they're on the wrong side. They're not children of God, they're children of wrath, and they need to be convicted of their sin and their need for a Savior, and hopefully the books have helped in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. JB, appreciate your time, and thank you for watching today. As always, there's so many fascinating topics. I know as a young kid, I was fascinated with a lot of things, but at the end of the day, many of these things are real, and God has allowed these things to be exposed to point us to the realities of the deception of what Satan has done. But again, growing up as a kid, I was deceived. I didn't know any better, but having the opportunity to hear the gospel and to be enlightened to God's truth, which is, again, the ultimate, final, and very accurate truth, that's a privilege. So thanks for watching today. As always, we appreciate your prayers and support for what we do. We'll catch you next time.
Prophecy Watchers is a viewer-supported ministry made possible through the faithful support of friends like you. You can give easily by visiting prophecywatchers.com.